Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to embark on a journey like no other. Welcome to the Glum Lot Podcast,
your go-to destination for a unique blend of recovery and discovery.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Mark. And in this podcast, we will endeavor to create a safe and uplifting space for our guests and listeners to share their stories with sincerity and a touch of humor.
Remember, we are not a Glum Lot. The Glum Lot Podcast is more than just a source of entertainment. It's a beacon of hope, proving that even in the darkest moments, recovery is possible. Every story we share carries the power to inspire positive change.
So buckle up, get ready to listen, and join us in discovering the strength that lies within every individual's journey. This is the Glum Lot Podcast, where humor meets hope. All right, Mr. Brett, we are here for number 96 episode.
Wow.
Yes.
Closing in.
Look at us. And, it's going to be a little different today because we're going to have on our two favorite guests.
Yes, again.
And the whole thing, yes.
Yes, this is a second time that's happened.
That would be you and I.
Yeah.
Actually, at the suggestion of a listener, said, hey, I really like that one that you guys did where you spoke about, a topic.
Yeah.
You guys should pepper that in every once in a while. So that's what we're going to be doing today.
Yeah, we listen to you.
Yes, we listen to you, and then we make you listen to us.
Correct.
Yes. The good thing is, though, you can always turn us off, although we hope you don't.
I'd actually like you to turn me on.
Yeah. Oh,
but anyway.
Shit. Anyway, please, thoughts, guests, anything you want to talk
feedback.
about, or send us an email at theglumlotpodcast@gmail.com. And please, please, please join our Facebook group, the Glum Lot Podcast at the Facebook.
Like the Facebook.
Yes, like there really is a book. There's an actual physical book.
Oh, Lordy.
Join us at the Facebook. I'll be in the northwest corner of the Facebook if you want to find me individually. So.
We're okay.
But anyway, what's our topic today?
Yeah. You want to do this or you want
to? You know what? I've been talking to some people lately who have said, my program got a little stale. I've got X amount of years, and I don't know, I just kind of starting to feel more disconnected. And
yeah, including having this discussion with our sponsees.
Yes, and of course, the first thing I say is, well, how many meetings are you going to? And they go, I'm going to one, maybe 2 weeks. Okay, that might be part of it.
Yep.
How many people are you working with? Well, I had one, and, he didn't really call me. And I said, what does your step 12 look like?
There it is.
Well, I really don't, have any, anybody I'm talking to. And I say, well, there's your answer right there. Up your meetings. And then look for newcomers. That's how this program survives, and that's how we keep it green. That's how we keep it fresh.
Yeah, and continue to learn to live everything that we learned in this program on a daily basis, right? On top of all that.
Also, things get good, and then we start forgetting about the spiritual connection that got us there.
That's right.
So that step 11 works tends to kind of take a background to the money we're making, the relationships we're having, the things
that we've regained, right?
Yes, we gained through that. And
now
we're like, okay, I'm done with you. I've got what I want. But nobody really ever has what they want.
That's right.
Because what they really want is what's given in the 11th step. And it takes you a while to find that round and round doesn't go anywhere of wanting and getting and wanting and getting. And that what you really wanted all the time was the connection to the universe, to your higher power, and to other alcoholics, and anybody in your life, really. But we learn that all through this program.
We do.
So don't stopping the program. It works if you work it, so work it, you're worth it.
Yeah.
True. Meaning makers make it. Your turn.
Sure.
Slogan.
Why don't I read step 12?
It's slogan time. Yeah, go ahead. Read step 12.
Yeah, so we can give people that don't know what step 12 is and what we're going to be talking about. So the official step 12 of the AA program, the big book, is having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. We tried to carry this message to other alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
And we were talking a little bit about before the recording of how this really breaks down into three basic ideas.
Yeah. So the first part of it is having a spiritual awakening. We'll get into that, and then the other one, carrying that message, working with others that are suffering, right? And then, practicing everything that we learned in this program and everything that we do in our daily lives.
Right.
And that's a challenge.
It is. Well, you know what? We don't expect perfection, that's for sure.
Right. Progress over perfection.
Yes.
There's my slogan.
And oftentimes, if you have that feeling of things aren't working out for you, and you take a hard look at it, you can say, am I really practicing the principles of the program in this situation? Because if you're not, then there's your answer.
Right. So,
look back to the steps.
So let's talk about having a spiritual awakening.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Some people come in with a connection already.
Yeah.
I came in personally with an idea that there's something, but I'll never know what it is.
So a God or higher power you're referencing.
Yeah, I'm totally removed from it. What I got from the program and the steps was a reconnection with that higher power that I've come to accept. I will never be able to explain.
Okay.
And I heard a really good line about it, about the higher power too. It can never be explained, but it also can never be denied. And that's true for me because I experience it all the time. And I always tell my sponsees, don't look for it to make sense to you. Just look to experience it. When you experience, you'll feel it in your gut and you'll know it's real. The more you look for some kind of intellectual explanation through your thinking, the more you won't believe it.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't exist there.
Absolutely.
It exists outside of the realm of thought, and you really have to experience it. And once you experience it, you can kind of connect to it and speak to it and listen to it and start to formulate
and
some
grow from
kind
it.
of, and start to recognize it in other people, start to recognize it in other parts of your life, and even in nature. A lot of people recognize that. So that's, for a lot of people, it's a real awakening. It was for me, too. For me, it was a slow grind. For a lot of people, it's like a burning bush moment. We're like, oh, my God.
Yeah. So
oh, my God, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah. If we're talking about the founder of AA, Bill Wilson, right? He had one in the hospital, very quick, very, a burning bush moment kind of type of thing. But that is actually that's an exception, not the rule. From my experience listening to people, I think a lot of people have to go through this, right? Work through the steps, and then it eventually comes. But you got to be taking actions on a regular basis for that to happen.
Yep. And, I think part of it is always be seeking.
Yes.
And I know in the 11th step, that's part of it,
Yeah.
That we seek that connection. And part of something that I recognized in my seeking was that my higher power exists only in the present moment. Does not in the past, not in the future. I can't look there. In other words, I can't look through my memory. I can't look through my projection. I can only look to the now to experience it directly. And once you experience it directly, once you get a little taste of it, you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's what I've been missing. People call it I had a God-shaped hole in my
There you
heart.
go. Yeah.
So, I am one to, I'm not a religious person. I'm not a Christian. I don't even like to use the word God, really, because to me, it was always taught that it was a guy in the clouds with a beard and all that stuff. I like to call it the universe, which just encompasses everything.
Sure.
But, yeah, so that's the, people say, part of the program is spiritual.
Yeah.
Well, it's really all spiritual. And that component, if missing, will always leave one lacking. You can keep the drink down,
sure,
but you're not going to get the full benefits of the design for living that we have that works so well.
Right.
If you don't explore that spiritual component of it, and it's introduced in step 2. And it's they make it so easy for people, hard-headed people like me.
Oh, right.
You know, all they ask is that you just allow a crack of light in, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Yeah. Something other than me.
They're not saying you have to believe in something.
Yeah.
You just have to believe that something can restore you to a better way of being.
Yeah.
And once you open that up, once you're open to that, it will manifest in your life. Then it's up to you whether you're going to, when and if you're going to practice step 3 and make the decision. Once you've seen it, that crack of light start to manifest in your life, and it
continues as you work through the steps.
Great thing.
Yeah.
And you start hearing other people talk about it, and boy, I want what they have, but I just can't get there.
Right.
Once you relax and let it happen for you, and make your decision. To turn it over. And that whole step 3 thing, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him, is not an absolute black and white for anyone. It's very gray in that, yes, I want to do that. I have the
It's a decision,
intention
and
of
that's
doing.
it.
Yes.
It's not the actual
Right. It's not
happening.
the practice of it. The practice of it comes
Right.
every day,
it's just
one
a
day at a
decision
time.
to do that, right? And that's where I'm going to come in with this
Go ahead.
because my experience with that spiritual awakening, it really helped me when I was reading, The Doctor's Opinion.
Yes, I love the Doctor's
And
Opinion.
Dr. Siltworth, his understanding of that spiritual awakening was an entire psychic change, a change in your thoughts, a change in your perceptions, a change in the way you experience life. And that was what really helped me get to that point. And while, yes, power greater than myself, for me it was the rooms, for sure. I did have a past with God, right, and religion, but I wasn't totally against it, but I also didn't hang my hat on that, the God word and stuff. But I was really interested in this psychic change, this change of thought that they were talking that would happen if I worked through these steps of the program. And I can clearly say and plainly say it's amazing what it did, right? So while I didn't have this bright light moment or the burning bush moment, but I can honestly say, having worked through these steps very diligently, that my thinking has changed big time, right? And so now I rely on that new way of thinking, the design for living that you talk about. That's definitely a spiritual experience, right? Because everything I know and did is different, changed.
Yeah, and you know what? You can draw an analogy between somebody who has very poor eyesight, and they're going through life, and it's a struggle. Everything's blurry, everything's cloudy.
Yeah.
They're making their way, but it is a real struggle. And other people are telling them, there's a very clear way.
Yeah.
There's a way of clarity. And it's
it's fairly simple. You just got to put something on. Right?
Yeah. And they're like, no, I don't see that. That makes no sense to me. And then one day you're like, I don't give a shit. I need to improve. I'll do anything.
I'll put the glasses
They
on.
say, are you willing to try this? And then you put them on and you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah, right. What the hell?
This is what I was missing.
Yeah.
Right? And then life becomes a little more simple and clear and doable.
But isn't that what us alcoholics do with everything?
It is. It is what I do with everything.
Everything I have
I will fight tooth and nail,
Oh, yeah.
not to improve myself, if it's by somebody else's suggestion.
Yeah, right. But until we make a decision that we want to change.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I had an experience early in sobriety, with step 2 and 3, and it was through a meditation. It says in step 11 about saw through prayer and meditation. Well, for a lot of people, meditation, when they come into the program, can seem like something foreign, something from Eastern religion or TM or, whatever. And they're like, I don't know. Well, I was going to this psychiatrist because I had anxiety disorder that I discovered after I put the drink down. And he was talking about finding peace within myself. And I'm like, okay, well, I will once this stops, I get this, I get rid of this, and he goes, no, it's always there. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, your thinking is blocking you from seeing it.
100%.
And he said, it's like a pond that's been stirred up. It's murky.
Turbid.
What does the bottom look like? I have no idea. I can't see it. But if you're still and you wait and everything settles, you can see clearly to the nature of the bottom of that pond. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but what are we going to do? And he said, we're going to do a meditation. I'm going to do it with you. It's going to be guided. And he had me sit in the chair, and he helped me to relax. And we did like a body scan thing where you check your muscles, make sure they're not tense.
Yeah.
So physically relaxed. That's a big part
piece
of
at
it.
a time, like a small part.
Right. So once I got physically relaxed, he
Did
started.
you rub your back?
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't one of
Okay.
those.
All right.
So once I got physically relaxed, which took a good 10 minutes.
Sure.
He started talking about thoughts and thinking. And he said thoughts are natural. They'll pop out of nowhere. They'll, they occur to us.
Yeah, in response to your environment.
It's the thinking that we're going to try to tamp down. And so he said, you're naturally going to have thoughts. They're like clouds passing in the sky. Don't try to hold on to them. Don't try to push them away. Just let them pass. And keep bringing your attention in the now back to your breathing. And so I did that with breath counting and all that stuff. And eventually he started talking about the space between the thoughts. And I'm like, okay. And I could kind of see it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then eventually, that's
longer.
all there was. And I was there, and I would say it was a period of having no thinking and being relaxed. And I got this feeling, this presence of everything is okay. I felt very connected to what I would call a higher power or the universe or myself, part of myself, the part of self that is strong and relaxed and confident and all the stuff.
Which is what our higher power wants.
Yes, exactly. And I just got a taste of it.
Yeah.
I might have existed in there. It seemed like 2 minutes, but it was probably less.
Sounds like a
I
spiritual
snapped out of
experience
it.
and a psychic change to me.
It was. And I popped out of it. He said, what did you think? I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I kind of want more of that.
Yeah.
He goes,
I mean,
that's
I want
what
more now.
That's what a meditative practice is, is there's no getting there because it's always there. It's
Correct.
a matter of slowing down the thinking to a point where it's not clouding up, like we talked about the pond. It's not clouding up the real you, the Zenists would call it the you that existed before you were born.
Yeah,
even, they
and
say.
each one of those steps is bringing us to that point as well, just like your meditation, right? We're looking at the things that we're afraid of. We're looking at our resentments, all those things that cloud us every single day, enslave us, if you will, and then not bottling things up and talking about getting those things out and then making the decision to get rid. It's just that
it's
same
about
thing.
Learning a whole new way of being because before we wouldn't do that. We would fight them. We would think about them. We would cop resentments.
Always in conflict.
Of course we needed alcohol.
Oh.
How could we live with all that
without
being anesthetized?
Yes.
And so our goal is to not drink. And so we do that, and then we're left with the real work, which was what the steps are. Step one is about putting down the drink.
Of course.
And that is the first step, and it is the start.
Yep.
You can't get sober while you're drinking.
Nope.
But once you do that, boy, the real work starts. And I didn't know that when I came in. I just wanted to feel better.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to stop drinking. I just wanted to feel better. And what I found was I could stop drinking, but I still wasn't feeling better. I was feeling, well, I shouldn't say I wasn't feeling better. I was feeling better, but I still wasn't feeling as good as I wanted to or as good as I thought I could. And still I started practicing the steps. And then slowly, very slowly, over the course of years and years and meetings and conversations and readings and prayers and meditation and all that stuff, things slowly, imperceptibly started to get better for me.
Yeah, gradually.
And we really try to get to the point where we don't want to drink, Not only are we not going to drink no matter what, but we don't want to drink.
Yep. And there is that psychic change right there.
It is.
So let's talk about the next part, the carrying the message to other alcoholics. This one we're both pretty strong on and feel strongly about. And nothing says this part of this step better than going into Chapter 7 of the Big Book, and it's working with others, right? Mm-hmm. Makes sense, right? We're supposed to work with others, so let's learn about it.
The whole chapter about it.
And so I love this because practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion, so that's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill, and this is what I love. Life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch themselves, to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow about you, to have a host of friends. This is the experience you must not miss.
That's right. I agree. Yeah.
And, it says, we know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. And it's hard for me to read it because it's so true, and I really feel strongly about it.
I do too. And
because all those things are true, and that is, and it says nothing will give us such immunity as that.
You know something? I have observed in people in AA and people that I have sponsored, there comes a time in sobriety, especially early, not super early, but you've completed the steps. You might have a year or two or whatever under your belt, that people tend to kind of rest on their laurels, maybe you'd say, but you know what?
Time to watch others do the work.
But there is a missing ingredient,
Oh.
and that is this step.
Yeah.
It's the missing ingredient to
Lest
the
we forget, this
full
is how this all
program.
started.
Right. Make the whole meal, but don't put the salt at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that gives it that specific
And isn't
lift
that
and
selfish?
flavor.
Right,
Yeah.
and to keep all that to yourself, right, and not to share that with others, It's
Well,
just,
like, there's a lot of people that say, I want to give others what was so freely given to
correct.
me. And I know if you're new in the program and you raised your hand and say, I am new and I really need help, I'm struggling, you will get the help you need.
Yeah.
If nobody came up to that person after the meeting, imagine what our program would
Right.
be.
Right.
It wouldn't work. This is of prime importance, and the first 11 steps get you where you need to be to do this. You got to do the first 11 first.
Absolutely.
However, some people get to 11 and they're like, "There, I feel better. I'm good. I'm doing good." They don't know. They had,
They
once
have not
they
experienced that light
right.
yet.
Once there's a reason that it's not an 11-step program,
That's right.
and it's a strong reason.
Yeah.
And this is.
But Mark,
to
I don't
me, a
feel
big
like
part of it.
I don't feel like I'm good enough. I don't know if I feel.
There's a
like,
lot of that too, and you know what? And I've said to people, I think I've said to every sponsee, who when they get a couple of years, I'm like, hey, you should start looking for somebody to help.
Oh,
I didn't even say sponsor. I'm just saying help.
Yeah, that's it.
And they go, well, I don't know if I get. I said, hey, you know what? Just do for them what I did for you.
You're not drinking.
That's all you got to do.
That provides hope.
I didn't get you sober.
No.
I was somebody you could call. I was somebody that went to meetings with you,
Yeah.
talked about the steps, worked the
Guided
steps
you
with you.
along.
You can certainly do what you did with me with someone else.
Yeah.
That's all is
The
required.
responsibility's on them.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Yep.
We're
Yeah.
just there, like I say all the time, we're Sherpas, just helping them up the mountain, And but yeah, I truly feel this one, and it is, and I've had the honor to sponsor some people, and it's that light in their eyes, and then when they just say there's something changing about me, and I can't explain it. Dave, he's been on here. He was really befuddled by it. He did not know how to explain how he was feeling. And it was just so cool to see that change and that progression in him from a very angry, anxious person, full of dread of life, to being somebody that's content and just sits in awe of this program now. It's so cool.
And for me, at my ripe old age, I have arrived at the realization that I owned a business.
Yeah.
And I had a profession, and I have children, and I have a house and some accomplishments. But my life's work is this. This is my life's work.
And this really came to head the other day when I told you that I was in conversation with a few folks that had been down to a meeting in Connecticut. And they came back all excited about this meeting because it was an actual newcomer, beginner meeting. And it was very well put together, very big book oriented and structured, had lots of good components to it. And we were both like, this is exciting, right? And this is what it's really about, is what this 12-step stuff and helping other people. And you're right. I honestly can say the same thing. Nothing else matters to me except for the enjoyment I get out of this.
This, what you were just talking about, this newcomer meeting could be a real beacon to the still sick and suffering.
Right.
Each of us is a beacon to the still sick and suffering if we're working our program correctly.
Yeah.
And we're there when someone reaches out. The hand of AA must always be there, and it was there for me, and I'm going to keep that going. That's the way the program works. We're coming up on 100 years of this miracle.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell people did before this.
I know.
Because this works.
And it finally, and just so everybody knows, Stanford finally did a study on this, and it is still the most effective thing out there. Above all the harm reduction stuff, it still is.
Yeah.
And it's documented. They finally got a big enough sample size to be able to do it effectively, and it is. Still, and it's not the same AA. I mean, a lot of the things are the same.
Yeah.
But it's still effective.
Yeah. Well, it's still maturing.
Yep.
Particularly in light of the fact that the communication between people is so much more and so much faster.
Right.
And also that there have been so many more drugs introduced into the mainstream.
Yeah.
There's so much need for some kind of an answer to this addiction problem.
Yeah.
That those minority of people like us. We are a minority. It's a growing minority, though. But it's something that you can't. There's no pill for this.
Nope.
There's no quick fix for it. It takes, like you say, a psychic change. It takes a complete change in your life, really, a change of thinking and a change of way of being that doesn't come easy. It's a simple program, but it is not easy. It takes a lot of work
because of ourselves.
Yeah, and a big part of this is people don't just wander into this. You suffer your way into this if you're lucky.
Yeah.
A lot of people will suffer their way into the grave or into jail or an asylum or
quite
whatever.
Often that's the case.
If you're lucky, you suffer your way into this program, and if you're really lucky, you find your answer in it, like we did. And once you do, boy, you better spread the word because it's needed. It is needed.
It is, and and that actually comes along, and that'll get into the last part of this is practicing these principles in everything that we do, and all of our affairs, and it's funny that message gets spread just because of that.
Yeah.
Right? My new way of doing things, my way of having empathy for people, my new way of being kind and tolerant and seeking to understand things before I react, all those things have made almost an attraction to find out what's different about you and why, right? And so not only does that give you enjoyment, but it allows you the opportunity to say, well, I went through this program.
Right.
And, if it's not an alcoholic or somebody that still struggles with addiction, which everybody has some form, I'm sorry. So I can say, well, these are some things that I go through when I think about my day that allows me to be this way, right?
Right, and you're talking about a design for living.
Right.
When I was a kid, my design for living was pretty much what I observed.
Yeah.
And what I observed working and what I observed not working. But it was never a real deep understanding. It was always like, oh, this guy's got a really nice car. How did he get that?
Right.
This guy's got money. This guy's got...
And bulldozing my way to get there.
Yes, exactly. I was taught that, that if you just push harder, if you just work longer.
And then if something didn't allow me to, well, fuck the world.
Yeah, that is what I would call a bad design for living. So that's what I grew up with. I grew up with a flawed design.
Absolutely.
And people say I was built for success, but I was programmed for failure. And, it usually hits you in your late teens, early 20s that you start to feel that thing where you're like, God, this isn't working out. The world is
not
against
my
me.
oyster.
No. And you're like, fuck this. And then you find solace in alcohol.
And then you're finding problems in everything.
Yeah. And then you see all these other people drinking socially and they're good with it. And you're like, I really like the way this feels. And I'm going to be like them. But you aren't like them.
No.
They're going to have 2 drinks and go home. You're not. You're going to
cross the threshold.
You are going to beat that dead horse until you pass out.
Absolutely.
And this is our way. This is how we live. And it's a progressive disease. It does get worse. It gets worse in every case. It's not progressive and then it gets better ever.
No.
Ever.
No. And that's the other part of it is the 12-step program is not a one and done.
And, that's why they say, I'm here by the grace of God, because it isn't like people see this and go, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, right.
They don't. I didn't, It's more like you're so beat up and defeated, you're reaching out to grasp anything.
Yeah.
And you get a hold of this and you have some success with it. In my case, I went back out a bunch of times early on. But eventually I got to the point where I'm like, this is it. There is no easier, softer way. I got to do the work.
Yeah.
And believe me, my first 6 months in this program, I did try to find an easier, softer way by picking and choosing what I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do. And I failed at every aspect of the program. And so, they say, rarely have we seen a person fail who was thoroughly followed our path, not half-assed our path. Right. Half measures availed us nothing. And that's true. Half measures don't avail us half success. Correct. They avail us nothing.
Correct.
So that's a real point of growth to get through.
Boy.
If you can hang in and keep coming back through that, through failure, through half measures getting you nothing, because a lot of people go, oh, this doesn't work. this isn't going to work for me.
At the first opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the
absolutely.
half measure availed them nothing. And they're like, well, it wasn't the half measure. It was this program availed me nothing.
Correct.
I can't do that.
Correct.
I don't know how they do it, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
well,
oh, boy.
My advice is keep coming back.
Yeah.
Because
keep seeking.
It will keep kicking your ass. I can guarantee you that. For a lot of us, this is the last house on the block. And thank God people recognize that, and say, this is my only way out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that don't. That the disease of denial will continue to stoke that denial. That there's got to be a better way than going to these stupid fucking meetings.
And that's all ego.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It'll kill you. It'll drive you to the grave.
Yeah.
So,
no.
yeah. So the 12th step, it isn't. Usually when people talk about the 12th step, it's about going to see a newcomer. I'm going to 12 step them.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
There's those 3 components that we're talking about here.
Which 12-stepping hardly even exists anyways.
And practicing these principles in all our affairs is a ideal.
It is absolutely.
It is not expected. Because if you can practice them in all your affairs, boy, you have just...
Well,
you have ascended.
No, but at the same time, that is one that as long as you're trying to reach it, you're going to get results. Without a doubt. Right. You don't have to have perfection to get the rewards of it.
Right. And all these things in step 12, yes, they help other people. Yes, they make people around us happier.
And us.
But the main thing is the benefit we get out of it is tremendous. And to deny yourself that benefit by just kind of drifting away from the step 12 is a disservice to your sobriety.
Absolutely.
And it leaves it incomplete. And I'd rather have a complete, 12-step program than an 11-step program.
Yeah. And this was Bill Wilson's concern is if we stop practicing this on a daily basis, we fall into the emotional sobriety problem. Right, because if we are following and doing step 12, we will always be in a state of contentment or a feeling of being helpful, altruistic, all those types of things. But if we stop doing that, our emotions will eventually get us, and that is a common plague of old timers. And we've seen it a lot lately, and it's devastating, right? And sometimes very hard to come back from because all the remorse and guilt and everything that results from that, could have been very easily avoided if we just put a little effort in our daily affairs. Yeah,
and it's really, to me, at least my experience with the people that I've spoken to, like I said, that will say, my program's just kind of dry and blah, 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 blah. And I talk about step 12. The people that embrace that see the benefits pretty quick. And another thing I'd like to say about this step, too, and about working with other people is people put a lot of pressure on themselves. And I know I did when I first started sponsoring people.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, my God, okay, so first I got to, then I got to do this. Then, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and I strongly, if you're feeling that way, read Working with Others.
Yes.
Chapter 7. Yes. That will dispel all of it.
I will also say, don't only tamp down your expectations, but eliminate them.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything you can expect an alcoholic to do is to drink and lie about it.
That's the nature
and
of
I've
the disease.
experienced that with sponsees. And, there comes a time when you have to walk away.
I've done it recently.
Yes, for the benefit not only of yourself, but also the sponsee, because maybe you just aren't clicking with them. They're just not getting the message from the way that
they may be afraid to tell you that, right?
Yeah. And so, expect to fail.
Yeah.
Expect to succeed. Expect the unexpected.
Expect
that's
to be
the main
helpful,
thing.
and that's
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing is, you hear stories about, oh, my God, I was just sponsoring this guy. Well, let me tell you one of mine. I was sponsoring a kid, and he was a great guy, man. Everybody loved him.
Yeah.
He was funny. He was smart. He was just a good guy. Could not shake the addiction, like most of us. And he would lie to me.
Sure.
And he would skip out on meetings and told me he went. And I mean, him and I we were friends, and we talked for hours after the meeting. And I'd drive him home. He couldn't drive. I'd sit in his driveway and we'd talk for hours. It was great. It was great for me. And eventually he overdosed and died. And he was a young dude, like 28 years old. And I didn't say to myself, "Oh my God, you should never sponsor anyone again." I got so much out of that.
You didn't say to yourself it was your fault.
It wasn't my fault. I can't get anybody sober.
No.
I cannot. I wish I could.
Yep.
But I'm fooling myself.
Well, then
if
I'd be a
I think
higher
I
power,
can.
wouldn't I?
But, I will say this about this guy. I know for the 2 years that I was sponsoring him, I did give him a lot of good advice, and I'd like to think some peace and serenity in his life, despite the fact that he was a chronic relapser.
And you did to his family.
Yeah, and I did. In fact, when he died, his dad called me up
Mm-hmm.
and just said, thank you so much for blah, 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 blah. And then a year later, to the day, he called me and said, it's the anniversary of his death. I just wanted to let you know what a difference you made. And I was like, wow, thanks a lot. I'm sorry it happened that way.
But
and
they usually understand why.
Yeah, and I can't even say, I wish I could have done more. I can't really say that because I did as much as I could with what I had to work with, but it wasn't up to me.
Yep. Not miracle workers.
So to me, that wasn't something that would push me away. Would be what I would consider when I first came in failing at sponsorship. Yeah. I failed because you didn't stay sober. There is no such thing as failing at sponsorship as long as you do it.
That's only because you put an expectation on yourself.
The failure is not doing it.
That's right. And that is absolutely right. But, you said a couple things there. There's a ripple effect from it, right? Mm-hmm. You helped him, but you also helped others around him, and that came through. But the other part is when you said you were sitting in the driveway and you would talk for hours, and that helped me.
Yeah, it did.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we also try and tell people, when we're interacting with these people, it helps us, believe it or not.
I remember when my sponsor, when I first came in, would say, call me. And he'd say, believe me, it's helping me more than it's helping you. And I was like, what kind of a cult is this?
Yeah, right.
It's not helping you. It's a pain in the ass for you. You've already got this. I don't. I'm going to call up and go, I feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. And he's like, no, I swear to God, you're going to understand this someday. It's going to help me. Mm-hmm. It's the phone call I need.
I can honestly say there's not been one time when a sponsee called me, or anybody for that matter, in distress. And at the end of that call, the feeling, I usually can't sleep for the rest of the night, to be honest with you, because usually, because we talk about things, it solves half the problem, right? But also, when we can add a little bit of reason and a little structure behind it, the person almost always feels better after the conversation.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful feeling that is, to take somebody from, crisis to some sort of serenity.
Right. I'd also like to mention this about the 12th step, because I've had this experience, and I know you have too. When somebody calls you for help when they're drunk.
Nope.
It happens. It's never happened to you?
No, I won't allow it.
Oh, I was going to say it's happened to me.
Oh, okay.
And they're in distress. There's no doubt about that. But I always say I can't help you when you're drunk like this. Please get some sleep and call me in the morning and we'll talk about it. And of course they're like, I just really look at that. I'm like, I know, believe me, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. I've done it myself. But this conversation is not going to benefit you at this point. There's nothing I can do. You got to hang up. You got to go to sleep. Please don't drive anywhere.
Right.
Get some sleep. Call me when you're not drunk, and we'll get to work.
Yep.
So that's kind of another thing to be expected, is that might happen.
Yeah.
Your sponsee may drink. And like I always say to people that are getting out of rehab or new in the program, no matter what happens, keep coming back.
That's
if you
it.
drink, come back. If you don't go to a meeting for a month and you don't drink, still come back.
That's right. Get to AA until AA gets you.
And I will say that about sponsorship as well. Keep coming back. Your sponsee drinks, but he wants to get sober. That's okay.
Yep.
Let's make that a learning experience. Like what happened with me is my sponsor would talk about why I went out or how I went out. And for me, it was almost always people, places, and things. And he would trace it down with me, and I'd say, I answered that call, and I should have just said I'm not going. But I thought, okay, I haven't drank in, 20 days, and I feel good about where I'm at, and I feel strong enough. And what I don't realize is I'm defenseless against alcohol still. I just don't know it. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And then I would say, yeah, I'll meet you guys out, and then I would drink. And he'd go, okay, so what happened? And I would go through it with him.
Yep.
And he'd go, what are you going to do next time? And he said, at least do this. At least call me after you get off the phone with him. At least call me before you go out. We'll talk about it.
Right.
Because he knows.
Break the cycle.
Because he knows, because he's done it.
Of course.
And another thing with what you read talks about our ability to understand and empathize with other alcoholics and addicts
It's
is
like no one else.
like nobody else can do. Nobody else can do it.
It's not academic.
They have not experienced it, and it cannot be explained. I guess, counselors that weren't addicts have learned about it and can say, well, this is the mechanism of addiction. But we know in our gut. We know it without reading about it because we've experienced it, and we can certainly share.
And that breaks walls down so quickly.
It does. And we can share our experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah.
Because we've experienced it. We've found in the program the strength to deal with it, and we have hope for them. We have hope for ourselves and for everybody that needs the help, that they can do it too.
Yep.
We know not everybody's going to do it.
That's right.
But.
So.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
So let's try and work on something. Let's work on step 12, right? Let's put action towards having that spiritual awakening.
Renew your step 12. How do you do that?
Yeah, right.
Well, there's the 12 and 12.
Yeah.
There is also bringing up step 12 in a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
There is
Joe
setting
and Charlie.
Joe
Great
and Charlie.
people to listen to for that.
There is planning and hosting a 12-step study.
Yep.
And there's also, the thing Brett had just spoken about that he, a friend of ours experienced in Connecticut, that newcomers meeting. That sounds like a fantastic idea. That's an idea that actually Brett and I are going to pursue.
Oh, absolutely.
It's trying to set that
with
up.
vigor.
With vigor.
Yes.
We're going to set that up. So also, this has not been a very light conversation, has it?
Yes, but it makes it kind of reaffirms in me why I love it so much.
Yeah.
It may not be invigorating, I guess. But I will tell you, it's a meaningful conversation. And
its importance cannot be overstated.
Yep, it really can't, and I hope people take it seriously.
Yeah, if somebody's listening to this and they feel like their program has just been kind of blah blah lately, look into the 12th step. It may be your answer.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, agreed.
Well, until next time on the Glum Lot Podcast, I'm Mark.
I'm Brett.
As we wrap up another episode of the Glum Lot Podcast, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who tuned in today. Navigating the path to recovery from alcohol and other substances is a journey filled with challenges, triumphs, and self-discovery. Remember, we're not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous, but we're here to provide a safe space for open conversations about the complexities of recovery. Your stories, courage, and resilience inspire us and our listeners alike. If you or someone you know is on the transformative journey, know that you're not alone. Join us next time as we continue to explore the diverse facets of recovery. Until then, stay strong, stay connected, and remember that each day is a step towards a brighter, sober tomorrow. Thank you for being part of the Glum Lot community.